Welcome to the Church Communications Podcast. We want to help you become a church communications expert. We understand it's a challenging and ever-changing role because we worked in the church too, which is why we built a community of over 30,000 church leaders that are ready to support and cheer you on. Your hosts for the show are Katie Allred, Kenny Jahng, with special guest host from the Church Communications team. They're here to help you and equip you to better reach your community. We'll talk shop with practitioners, professionals, and communications experts about what's working, what's not, and what's next.
What's up, everyone? This is Abby. Welcome back for another episode of the Church Communications Podcast. We're back today with our good friend Julie from PlanHero. Julie, how are you?
Doing great. Doing really well. How are you doing, Abby?
Doing so well, and we are so glad to have you back on again. We always have a lot of fun with these conversations with you. I feel like we've really gotten a chance to know you. We've gotten a chance to know each other a little bit. I think our listeners feel the same way. So we're just super grateful to have you back with us.
Yeah, I'm naming my first grandchild after you, Abby. So.
Wow, what an honor. That's amazing.
I'm not sure if my kids will, but I will.
But you'll be naming them. Yeah, at least that'll be the nickname. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So today we're going to be talking about outreach ministries and how to make engagement easy as a result of them. And it's interesting because as we're coming out of the pandemic, I think that a lot of people sort of shifted a little bit in the way that they do outreach ministry. I think all of those restrictions and everything really required churches to sort of get creative with their outreach. Absolutely. And I think some of that creativity, I think it's remained, which is really awesome. So we just want to talk about some ways to make the whole process, the planning process, the implementation a little bit easier, a little bit more organized. So we've got some cool stuff to get into. We're also going to touch on how you can use PlanHero, which is Julie's amazing software, to simplify everything.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Great. So as we dive in, let's just go ahead and start with the PlanHero piece. Tell us how we can use it in our outreach ministries.
Great. So, and by the way, this is a topic that I love because I love the whole premise of the church getting sort of out of the church and into the community and really participating and helping and doing the good work of helping, your fellow man. So I love this part. So whether it's somebody, a group that you have a formal relationship with, or just a one-off, either way for us with PlanHero works really well. With our signups, you can set up time spots so that people don't feel like they have to commit a whole 8-hour day, like their whole Saturday. I know that when we were raising our boys, Saturdays in particular were insane with, one soccer game at 8 a.m. that you had to be there at 7 a.m. And then somebody had to do duty at the concession stand. And then another one that was maybe at 3. So maybe your block of time where you could help out was from 10 to 2 or 10 to noon. But you wanted to participate. So we make that easy for modern families and people who have a lot going on, which is where we are in life these days. And certainly with a lot of women in the workplace, at near par with men now, weekends become pretty precious time. And that's when a lot of the volunteering goes on, right? So with our software, you're able to set up time spots, and the 2-hour block we highly recommend as being enough time for you to get there and get stuff done. People could always sign up for more than one block, but this really helps improve engagement in terms of people being able to dedicate some period of time. And then in addition, you can use us to set up what all of the specific jobs are in those time spots. So let's say that you're going to work with something like Family Promise, and you're going to go into their childcare facility and just kind of give it a spring refresh and refurbish. And maybe somebody's painting one of the little outbuildings. And so that's going to be happening all day. So you've got painters every 2 hours, and you know that you're going to put on your grubbies and get dirty. And maybe somebody else is replanting all the gardens, the flower beds and that kind of thing. So you can have people, hey, I need 5 people to bring shovels. and then, you're wearing your gloves and everything. And then in addition, you can have time spots for people who maybe are a little less physical. Maybe you want books dropped off, and they can sign up to drop off some children's books. How about the coffee and the water that all those volunteers want? So they can be the people dropping those things off, and you can have the times when they drop off. And then finally, if you can't participate at all, you can have a collect money list on the same sign-up sheet so that they can make a donation, and you can put all different kinds of increments and make it private so that, if you can afford $5 or $10, hey, you get 10 people doing that, you've got $100, right? And maybe that buys 10 new books for the library or something like that. So all of that can be in a single sign up and really get a wide swath of engagement from your church community, all ages, all capabilities, physical abilities, it doesn't matter. So that's what I like, is that you get that full participation, and you can, rather than just, hey, we're all going to the Women's Center on next Saturday, everybody show up, and, everyone's pointing at each other. I don't know what I'm doing. And also I don't have 8 hours. So
exactly. Yes. Yeah. I know, this sounds like a dream. It's an all-in-one, right? Like everything stays together.
Yeah.
I know that I have been a part of serve days, outreach days, and things like that in different churches, or even just different local organizations. And they tell you what time to be there and show up. You don't know what you're going to be doing. You don't know how long you're going to be there. You don't know who's going to be there with you. And it's just okay, I'm here. And then what ends up happening sometimes, unfortunately, is that it's just a big group of you standing around and nobody really knows what to do. Nobody knew what to bring. It's just sort of unprepared, and it's not a waste of time because you're still there helping, but it feels like the time could have been used much more effectively with some more organization and planning on the front.
Right. Right. And this does, we make it very easy for the organizer to be organized, which, by the way, for the group whom which you're helping, that's a lot more meaningful to them. They're going to want you to come back, right? Than if you come in and you're all contemplating your navels the entire time. And they're like, yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. We don't need you to come back. Great work. Enjoy. So, so I think we make it easy for the organizer to do it, but we do really encourage the organizer taking the time to be organized so that you're really respecting the time of your volunteers. Because the other thing, or the thing that you really don't want to have happen, is that someone's turned off because they showed up and they didn't feel like they were impactful, that they helped, they kind of wasted their time. I don't want to come back and do that. I have limited time. So when I'm there to work. I'm there to enjoy the community and get to know, my fellow parishioners, congregants better, the people with whom I'm participating. But I'm really there to provide a service, and I want to feel good. Selfishly, I want to feel good that I've done something and had some impact for good. I shouldn't say that's the chief reason why I'm there, because it shouldn't be about me. It's about helping. But if I feel like I've helped, then I feel better too. So I think that's really important. And if you really want to have that good cadre of volunteers, you've got to really respect people's time. Really, really respect people's time. There's nothing worse than an organizer not having that respect and not assuming that when they get there, they want to get stuff done. And granted, there are those who want to be a little more social than some others too. So, there are ways to do that too. So
yeah, definitely. So in terms of the organizer, so when you say organizer, that's the person who is in charge basically of setting this up and managing the signups and everything. Yeah. Is there a way for them to collaborate with, so you gave the Family Promise example.
Yeah.
So if I am the organizer, I'm the administrator in the church or whatever.
Right.
Is there a way that I can collaborate with the director of Family Promise to let them in on what time will be there, who will be there? Say I'm organizing it and I can't actually show up, but I just need to hand off these details to them to sort of run the day. How would that work?
Yeah, good question. So you can add a co-organizer to any of our events, which is just click the button with the little human on it. Try to be intuitive, and put their email address in. Obviously you want to let them know in advance, hey, this is coming, and then they have full access to the sign up. They can download reports, the CSV file, or the PDF of who's showing up when, so they know exactly what the people's names are, who's coming, what time they should be there. If you decide to collect phone numbers, then they can call and say, hey, you're not here, just checking in. Hopefully they're saying 2 minutes. Got lost. Well, you have Google Maps. Well, it's not so good for me. Yeah. So anyway, you can add that co-organizer, and then that person has full access. And, to your point, the church administrator, poor person, is usually overloaded, overburdened anyway. They could even just put the title of this thing and then add the co-organizer. Maybe it's somebody within the church, who has, maybe is on the board or already volunteers at something like a family promise. And then that person can set the whole thing up too. So the church admin still can see, who's volunteering, but this co-organizer who's within the church can be, large and in charge that day at the event and be there and carry on with it. So the church would still have the information, but, the same person's not bearing all the burden all the time. So really good question. And that's easy to do. So
that's super cool. And I also, every time, we've sort of talked about this every time, but I just want to touch on it again. Whenever we talk about PlanHero, we talk about how convenient it is to have everyone's names and contacts for follow-up, because that's a really important piece of this as well, I think.
Yeah. So the next time, so let's say that you do this quarterly or monthly, probably in something like this quarterly. So the next time you create the new sign up, you could send it out you could just grab for invitees, instead of just sharing the link out, which you probably do also, but you could also share that to the same group who had volunteered before. So they're already kind of familiar with the organization. Hopefully they've got a little skin in the game now. Hopefully they had a good experience. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this one again. And so it's not just, showing up somewhere on your website, but they're actually then going to get the invitation to the same thing, and it's familiar. So that's another easy, good way to kind of keep that going. And then, you may work with the organization too. We always want to be careful with people's data, but you could potentially share that information with the organization so they could reach out later to your folks and say, hey, we're doing some stuff that's not associated with your church, but we'd love to have you come and help us out. So that's a good way, again, to help the organization. And obviously you can always unsubscribe to those kinds of things. And it's, this is not super spammy stuff we're talking about or nefarious. So that would be a good way to help, really help those organizations build their, solid group of volunteers too.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of times that church outreach is a good way for church members to get plugged in the community. And so, I think, that's always how that happens. So that's great. And
I don't know if I mentioned this before. I feel like in one of the times where we've been chatting offline, maybe I mentioned it, but there's a cool church in Utah that does every summer. It's the church has left the building. And I think it's the whole summer, or at least a month, where they have stuff lined up for every Sunday to volunteer at all these different organizations. Because as we all know, summer's always a little funky for church attendance anyway. Everybody's traveling, everything gets weird. So they just set it up as, this is what we're doing. We are in the community in the summer. So we are walking the talk all summer long, and you can pick what you want. So you just sign up for the ones that you want, and then they know who's supposed to be there. We send out the auto reminders so that, now it's August and you're, thinking about other things, but, oh yeah, it's my week to do this. And again, that helps the organizations find good volunteers as well. But I think it's very different. I realize that, and not a model that would work for every church, but I just thought it was super cool.
That is super cool. And I feel like I feel like if you were to come to a church and be like, set up 9 weeks of volunteering activities, they would be like, that is very intimidating. That is a lot of work to set up.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, if you have PlanHero, it's super simple.
Well, it's pretty easy from that standpoint. And, for us, you can have all of the days in a single sign up, or you could make it, you could have multiple signups by type, but you could have the whole thing in one sign up, and then people can, just kind of see, okay, on August 7th, what is available? It's these 5 different places where I could go, and here's what they need, and here's what the timeframes are. So it's just kind of a cool, again, just a great way to do outreach. And I come back to walking the talk, really getting out there in the community and showing what it means to support your fellow man, or fellow human. I'm sure I'm in trouble for saying that.
Definitely, I could not agree more. And as we kind of wrap up here, I do want to let our listeners know about the free download that you guys have shared with us. We have the guide available at churchcommunications.com/PlanHero-engage, which we will include in the show notes, of course. But it's titled 8 Ways to Engage Your Congregation and Make Your Life Easier. It's super, super helpful. It shows some tutorials for some of the things that Julie and I have been talking about today and in past episodes. And Julie, I believe that you have a promo code for our listeners as well.
I do. It's ChurchComm. So church, COMM 15. And because I made an error, I think on one of the other podcasts, you could also do Church Comms 15. So we've got them both for you. All lowercase, and it's 15% off on an annual subscription. So you wind up, we already give you a deal on that. So you wind up with like paying for 8 months instead of 12, and it's, less than $7 a month, the way that works out. So it's super inexpensive, and you'll get it back like that in terms of time saving and opportunity cost for your time. So.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Julie. And I can't wait to hear from you and the team at PlanHero again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Church Communications Podcast. If you want to learn more, join over 30,000 church leaders in our Facebook group at churchcommunications.com/group. If you liked today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It's the most impactful way you can help us reach more church leaders and equip them to better communicate for the church. Finally, don't forget to check out our website at churchcommunications.com. Thanks for listening.